Hi, welcome to our footwork lesson. In our footwork, what we're going to be talking about is our fundamental movements, our stances, and our footwork patterns in the shot. So covering our sort of fundamental sort of movements to start with. So these are the different ways we're going to move on a tennis court that's going to allow us to sort of play our tennis shots well. So we've got sort of different ways of sort of moving. So what we've got is we've got sort of our side steps that we sort of got that we want to be able to do. We've got forwards crossovers, so we're sort of crossing over with our front foot as we move. We've got backwards crossovers, so we're moving backwards. So we've got backwards crossovers here, and we've got forwards and backwards, so we've sort of got the ability to sort of cover both ways as we're moving. Along with that, what we want to be able to do is sort of be able to move sort of with our balance forwards and sort of coming forwards as well, so backwards and forwards. And have the sort of the feeling of sort of with our sort of side steps, be able to sort of use our side steps in sort of different directions and being able to sort of changing sort of directions with our side steps. These sort of movements allow us to move to get ourselves set up for our sort of correct sort of stances. Okay, so those are sort of main ones with the sort of movement. Last one to actually go with the movement is sort of like shuffle steps as well. So in tennis, being in the right place is going to be very important. And as we're getting close to the ball, we want to use sort of little steps. So sort of shuffle steps is the ability to sort of move in different directions with small little steps. So as you can see here, so be able to move with like a wide stance with just little steps. And often when I sort of come into the shot, I'll be using little steps to sort of make sure I'm in the right place. So those are the different movements that we've got that we want to be able to sort of do on a tennis court. So we've got different ones, and each one's sort of very important depending on if we're close to the contact point or if we're further away. With our stances, what we've got is our fundamental sort of key stances that we've got for our sort of forehands and backhands. So going through our stances, what we've got is our sort of neutral stance. So neutral stance is where we're sort of sideways on for the shot. So as we sort of come into the ball, we're getting sort of sideways on, which is going to allow us to sort of play the shot on either on our forehand or our backhand. So we've got neutral stance. We've got what's called an open stance. So we use this one when we're sort of moving wider and we have less time. So if I was moving for a wide ball, an open stance is where I've got my sort of feet across in an open stance to play the shot. And my other stance we've got is called a semi-open stance. So it's sort of halfway between the two, so halfway between neutral and open. So we sort of got a little bit of forwards, backwards element, and we've got our right foot out to the side. So those are our three sort of stances that we've sort of got for our shots. So depending on our sort of level when we're sort of starting, when we start off, we often encourage the neutral stance. So the neutral stance, what that does, allows us to get our sort of transfer our weight forwards, one. Also as well, it encourages us to sort of get a better swing line sort of forwards. So this is on a lot of our shots for reds, and when we're sort of on the orange and green court, when we're in a better, when it's going more down the middle, being sideways on, it's going to allow us to do that and allow us to swing forward. So it's going to facilitate the shot for us. As we sort of get onto the bigger court, so or even with the reds as well, we're going to sort of introduce the open stance, so the ability to sort of move, get out, so we can keep our balance. Reason being, as we're moving, we can't get there and be sideways, it's going to lose balance. So it's just understanding the different sort of stance as we sort of come through. The last bit we've got is our stances. Last thing we've got is our footwork patterns. So our stance is how we set up for the shot. So for example, we've got our neutral stance here, and when we sort of start off, we often will call our play off a static position. So static position means I hit and hold, my feet aren't sort of moving during the shot. As we want to create more power and we've got less time, we start to sort of create sort of more dynamic footwork patterns. So going through our sort of different ones, so we've got our neutral stance is from here. So we've got our neutral sort of static pattern. And what I'm doing here, I'm sort of finishing, and what I call like squeeze the little toe, so I'm facing forwards with my hips rather than sort of swinging here. So my static stance from the neutral one is here, or often it's called like a tip stance as well, so learning to face forwards. Then from here, we've got what's called a pivot step. So as I'm trying to get my weight forwards more, I sort of pivot through the front foot, so sort of transferring sort of more power forward. So here I'm sort of pivoting and swinging through. And it's the same on the backhand as well. So sideways on, pivot through. My last neutral stance sort of footwork pattern is called a hop step. So on this one is where I'm moving faster. I'm coming up the court. So if I was further back, I'm moving at more speed and I want to get to the net. I'm here and I'm sideways, I hop forward before coming through. So it's all to do with where I'm coming from, what I'm doing after. So the hop step, I'm wanting to come forwards to the net, and the good thing with the hop step is it allows me to keep moving forward as I get through. So I hop, move forward, so I'll be getting to the net quicker. If I had a short ball and I wanted to get back to the baseline, I'd be sort of coming forward, using my pivot and using my sort of step to get back. So it's to do with where I'm coming from and what I want to do. The open stance, so with our wide balls, we set up so we get the stance right first, which then allows us to play the shot. But then our footwork pattern is often dependent on the pressure we are put under. So when we sort of, to start with, the rule that I have with the open stance is, what's the number of steps we're using after we've hit the shot, okay? The more steps I take away from the court, the further I am away back from the middle, which is gonna make it harder to recover, and it's gonna leave easier for my opponent. So what we want to be doing is taking as least steps possible. The maximum steps we want to take is 2. Okay, so going through the open stance, as if I'm sort of coming out wide and I'm trying to play it off a static stance to start with, I'd be here, hit, hold. So like I can pivot on my toes, but I'm not moving from that position. So under a bit of pressure, I can't get sideways, I can get there, hit and hold, and then sort of recover back. And you can see just with that recover back, I'm using that fundamental step movement pattern of that crossover to start with. The sort of next one where it's starting to get a little bit more dynamic is, as I'm here with my sort of footwork pattern, is I've got like a little shuffle step as I'm coming through. So if I'm getting down, I want a little bit more speed of pressure, my sort of feet will sort of shuffle across as I play it. Then what we've got is we sort of move on to what's called a flow step. So a flow step is where I'm moving even faster. I won't be able to keep my balance with the shuffle step afterwards. So what I do is then flow through it to keep my balance. So if I'm moving sort of faster, as I hit the shot, my left foot comes out, well, my left foot comes past the front foot, outside foot comes out, then crossover to start the recovery. One key thing is it's a forwards crossover as I'm doing this, not a backwards crossover. So as I'm moving through, comes across, comes back out, and that's our flow step for our sort of footwork pattern on the open stance. Our last one, of course, we've got our semi-open base. So what we're doing on this stance, our semi-open, we've got different ways of different patterns that we can create. So the ball's coming in, usually this is faster ball, we're moving a little bit to the side, and we're set up in our semi-open stance. And what we can do, we can play it off a sort of static footwork pattern again. So I could sort of be coming across, being here, being static. So I've got the pivot with my feet, but I'm not moving. So as my feet move, that's where it turns into a footwork pattern. What I can do is I can sort of do one where I sort of load here and a footwork pattern can push onto my left foot. So that with this one, it's about transferring our weight forwards. Another sort of footwork pattern we've got is as we're loading, we get like a jump between feet. So our feet are going almost from semi-open this way to sort of semi-closed the other way as we hit. Again, it's to do with creating power. So I'm here, I can create this to come through. And the other one that we've got is on a deeper ball where we're pushed back. We want to do what's called like a back pivot. Okay, so we had our forwards pivot on our neutral stance, but when we've got a deep ball and it's putting us under pressure, we'll be in a semi-open stance because it allows us to do it. We're being pushed back, and as we play to keep our balance, we'll pivot back onto our left foot. So as we're coming back, we're here, we're keeping our balance, and then we can sort of recover through. So those are our key things. So we've got our movements, our fundamental different movements that allows us to get in the right place at the right time with our different ways. It's also going to allow us to get there quicker using the most effective footwork pattern. So being able to do those all at ease is a big importance. We then got the stance. So our stance is how we set up, so how we are for the incoming ball. If we're in the wrong stance for the ball, it's not going to allow us to be efficient with our swings. So getting the stance for the ball in. And our last one is then the pattern, which is to do with what we're trying to do next or what we're trying to achieve. Okay guys, have a lovely week and we'll see you soon. Thanks a lot.